So we are becoming a bit more technical now, starting with a presentation on Phygital jewelry, and I guess we are all interested to learn more about Phygital. From Beatrice Rossato. Beatrice started in 2020 as a PhD candidate in design at Politecnico di Milano, Italy. She actually works as a designer at Misani Milano, where she has the creative direction of shootings for jewelry collections communications. She's also a teacher at Poly Design and Colonia Foundation in Milan on graphic design, and has signed several publications on digital technology in fashion and jewelry. In her presentation, she's focusing on the relationship between digital transformation and the world of jewelry, and in particular on dematerialization in the contemporary context of products, services, and experiences. Starting from the changes of digital transformation and reviewing the multiple contexts of contemporary jewelry, we will see an analysis on digital technologies and tools with their applications among the real and the virtual world as they reach new generations. So, Beatrice, I hope you are there, and please start with your presentation.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you very well. So
okay, perfect. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here. Let me first thank all the organization for the invitation. As anticipated, I'm a PhD student in design at Politecnico di Milano, where we are studying the effects of dematerialization of the fashion system, and in particular, innovative methodologies for the design of digital artifacts in relation to the body between physical and virtual landscapes. Today, I want to tell you about the latest trend, let's say, that the digital transformation has brought to the world of jewelry, and how a progressive dematerialization of products, processes, and services has taken place. Today, we hear more and more about digital fashion, a term that is really difficult to define, and it is not new, as we may think. In fact, the term digital fashion was firstly introduced to the fashion industry in general at the beginning of the 21st century, with the rise of the e-commerce. Then, with the development of 3D and virtual technologies, the definition has expanded to refer to any kind of fashion concept that are integrated with experimental technologies in clothes, accessory, and jewelry. Let's think, for example, to 3D printing or body scanning or virtual design. However, is in the contemporary context that the definition has expanded a lot more thanks to the entry of brands into the metaverse, acquiring more and more interest. This is, of course, an evolution where COVID-19 brought an undeniable innovative boost, but which began even before the pandemic. In fact, we see how before COVID, prior to COVID-19, substantial transformation were already underway in the fashion and jewelry system. That were radically changing the shopping experience and the relationship between the product and the consumer. Already mentioned before, e-commerce marked the first dematerialization of the product, carrying the consumer to an online platform, so an online interaction with the brand itself. Then social networks, of course, have shortened the distance between what is the brand and the consumer, starting to widen the pool of people that the brand could reach. And of course, we have the technology and the digital in general that began to enter the product itself by introducing, for example, wearable technologies, and increasingly connecting the consumer, the object worn, and the digital environment. Or, for example, let's think about 3D printing and jewels that are created with the help of algorithms. Here you can see the example of nervous system that, thanks to an algorithm, can create the shape of their jewel that are then 3D printed for the end consumer. So we are witnessing a sort of co-creation of the artifacts that is generated autonomously by the machine, but then is customized thanks to the role of the designer and also of the end consumer. All this transformation were already underway, as I was saying, before COVID. As we can see here in this graph that is taken by the 2018 reedition of the State of Fashion, which reveals a really strong online presence of the consumer shopping habits. Of course, making a virtue of necessity, it is undeniable that how COVID has accelerated the digitization of fashion, and 2020 may be remembered as the year in which fashion retail made a definitely shift online. A change that, of course, has increased the interaction between the consumer and the digital medium useful for reaching the product and the brand. Such as, for example, if you think about all the great interest that nowadays brands have for gaming platforms. What we are witnessing, of course, is a change in consumer behavior, but also a change in the value that the object itself can communicate. The example that you see here is the iridescent dress by the fabricant. It is one of the first, let's say, creative factory of digital object, which even before COVID has understood how digital could reduce fashion waste. So objects are not don't physically exist, are not produced physically, but are made only digital and can be used as social filters. So let's say that digital entering the world of fashion brought like three changing in fashion. According to Philip Kotler, digital has led to this particular tree change from individual to social, from exclusive to inclusive, and from vertical to horizontal. So we are talking about communities in sense of social sharing of values. From exclusive to inclusive, so the inclusive features of digital environment, and then the omni-channel solution that an horizontal point of view can give. I would like you to focus for a moment on the world of fashion and luxury, of which jewelry is certainly an important segment. Are these conflicting values for them? If we think of fashion, but above all of jewelry, there has always been a strong importance to the physicality of the object. The value that the physical object can produce is one of the main characteristics that brands, for the brand success, for these exclusive features that they have. This is why initially there was a sort of refusal by the luxury sector to invest in digital processes. And in fact, they were probably the one that has the greatest delay in entering, for example, e-commerce. But today, of course, as I said before, almost 80% of luxury sales are influenced by digital. So it is something that brands cannot avoid anymore, to enter the digital sphere and starting controlling also this medium to reach the customer. What is interesting is that the features of digital and luxury are really different. If luxury lives in the name of exclusivity, for example, digital is completely inclusive. Luxury selects its audience and makes inaccessibility a sort of pillar of its existence. Instead, digital is aimed to a wide audience, and it is easily accessible to anyone. So we have on one side digital with an intrusive and open context that contrasts with the traditional closure of luxury. What is happening is precisely a democratization of luxury and an attempt to maintain the same values that has always been communicated in the physical, even in the digital context. let's take some example. Think about exclusivity in physical fashion and luxury. Let's think, for example, of the presentation of Bulgary's new high jewelry collection, like the one, for example, here we have Magnifica. Like fashion shows are like reserved for a controlled circle of guests. In digital world, the audience is widening. Here we have Cartier's Clash Unlimited collection that is created in collaboration with Dressed. Dressed is an app, digital app for creating outfit where the consumer himself or herself can become the architect of an exclusive look with the Cartier jewels. Or, for example, craftsmanship that has been and remains today the lifeblood of precious and non-precious jewelry. But of course, digital space opens up a new creative solution. Here we have an example of a New York-based artist that realized this project to make a sort of case against the manufacturing scarcity of diamonds. We can see that he created a limited set of 100 unique digital diamonds. And the digital artist links the price of those digital diamonds to that of the diamonds in the real world, debating the concept of value between physical and digital product. So you can see how the gems that are one of the main features of the craftsmanship, also of the physical jewel, can become a creative possibility and also to debate on sensitive concept in the digital sphere. Another value of luxury is certainly the authenticity. So the idea, the guarantee that the name of the brand or an authentic model can confer. As here in the example of the Hermes, the Birkin of Hermes. I brought an accessory and I will explain later why I choose especially this bag here and not, of course, a jewel. First of all, we need to say that digital takes authenticity to a new level with, for example, digital certification that are obtained thanks to the blockchain or that gives, of course, also the possibility to trace the production chain for a more sustainable approach to the product. But not only this. I showed you the Birkin earlier, just to reflect on the creative possibility of digital. These bags were created by Maison Rothschild, that is a digital artist who made use of the Birkin model to explore different creative solutions in the digital environment, selling them, of course, for millions of dollars as NFTs. Hermes, of course, then sued the artist for misuse of the bag's names by also distancing itself from the artist's works. Legal issues aside, it is undeniable that digital opens the door to material and formal experimentation that would not be possible or sustainable in the physical world. For an audience that spends a lot of time traveling, interacting, and communicating digitally, harnessing the creative value of intangible design can deliver, of course, an added customer experience and values. Despite the extremely different context, in fact, there are many opportunities that digital can offer. For example, from a selected audience, we can have younger and expected target, and this horizontality, the omni-channel solution. From high craftsmanship, of course, we can have artistic collaboration and less prototype waste. The authenticity can become digital certification and creative possibility. And all in all, we have from physical experience a sort of digital immersion. Keeping this in mind, I would like to present you some examples of how the products, processes, and services in jewelry have changed with the advent of this dematerialization. We define dematerialization as that, like the progressive reduction or the completely disappearance of the materiality of the object. As regard product dematerialization, of course, NFTs have certainly been the most explored like novelty by brands in recent years. Those are unique crypto assets whose authenticity and ownership are verified on blockchains and are, of course, both sold and in exchange in the metaverse, often with cryptocurrency. The NFTs make it possible to transform the concept of collecting, transform it from a physical tendency to an intangible one, where exclusivity is given precisely by the rarity of these artifacts that is also combined with their feature of having a unique certification of their kind. For example, Tiffany has introduced recently the NFTF, their digital NFT that is closely connected with the CryptoPunk digital community, thus also limiting the consumer it addresses. CryptoPunk owners can access the NFTF website to purchase a pass, which will be, of course, stored in the blockchain technology. Then those passes can be then exchanged for custom-made charms that you are seeing here in the presentation, which will be designed at the Tiffany Innovation Center in New York City. Each pendant is a jewel, of course. It will be crafted in 18-character rose or yellow gold, contains several gems and diamonds, and also has been designed with a special chain module that reminds us to the shape of the pixels. So you see that the connection with the CryptoPunk community limits the access and gives this exclusive characteristic also to this NFT. Bulgari instead underlines the, let's say, exuberant and audacious characteristics of its nature, creating beyond wonder. That is a digital necklace that wraps up around the body of the wearer. It is made with like stones and colors that probably would not be found in nature. So Bulgari focuses on the impossibility of the object and on this immersive experience of digital storytelling. Digital product with or without certification becomes a social sharing tool, as the many virtual filters that have grown during the pandemic testify. The body, adorned by these moving jewels, becomes a canvas upon which the designer or the artist can place their creation. For example, here we have Ines Alpha, that modifies the magazine covers by adding elements in motion, such as social filters. Or again, Sunny creates a filter for the rubberized collection to let the earrings be tried and shared immediately via social networks. The interesting thing is the relation with the body. You see how not only the object itself is rendered, but also the hairs. I think this is a clever way to remedy the visualization problems that often emerge with this kind of digital creation. NFTs and filters, of course, become an innovative expression of the contemporaneity, like the Mars glasses designed by Pedro Guetz that are made of glass, and is a filter that allows the owner to digitally wear them during video calls or game streamings. Or, for example, the Sozzani Foundation, that was one of the first examples of exhibition in the metaverse, that in collaboration with Taylor Ventures introduced these works of Chris Russ, an artist, that creates a set of jewelry specifically for this virtual exhibition that could be accessed through the app Dra 6 and worn, of course, in augmented reality. Then the dematerialization of processes brings out two important changes, we can say. the 3D prototyping and the digital design. 3D printing is now a widely used medium and travels hand in hand with digital production, allowing the tangible realization of the digital designed product. In particular, it is really interesting to note how these two technological innovation can give rise to storytelling and exclusive customization of the jewel itself. The example that you are seeing here moving is a digital jewels by Love and Robots that moves according to the weather condition of a given place. So the jewel is conceived as a bearer of a memory of a place that can be programmed to move according to the wind that was present in a chosen place. So imagine to travel to Rome, and then you want to fix that particular moment in a jewel, depending on the wind that was present that particular day. The jewel can be taught to move according to the wind situation of that day. The interesting thing is that then the object can be stopped in a configuration by the customer and will be 3D printed to give to the customer the physical jewel. A second example of process dematerialization are the crypto cameos by Andrea Scognamiglio. Here we have an artisanal tradition, that is the carving of the cameos, that is completely reinterpreted in an irreverent way, we can say, in a completely digital collection of NFTs, with like a precision of detail that is challenging also the skill of the craftsman's hand. Or again, we have the Genesis collection by Dolce & Gabbana that introduced 3 pieces of eye jewelry, including this impossible tiara. That is a crown that is impossible to make, as the precious stone used don't exist in nature. As with Bulgari and the digital diamonds, the gem extraction process, with of course the let's say unsustainable also findings associated with it, are put in the background, investing instead in the 3D visualization reliability that returns an object that is even more surprising than the reality itself. This leads in the process also to the entry of new creative profession into the digital production chains. For example, here we have Ada Sokol, that is a 3D artist, really popular. She collaborates with major fashion brands and create a realistic 3D object that have a sort of digital behavior. For example, here, those glasses are melt over time. So it is important also to consider which kind of professional figures a brand wants to integrate inside their team to provide this new experience to create a digital products. Of course, as anticipated, the blockchain technologies make it possible to certify the product together also with the production process of the whole jewel, an area that is still difficult to achieve concretely in jewelry, but which gives the brand the opportunity to build the customer loyalty while respecting the planet and of course, people. This is an example of Manuganda that introduced the digital passport of the jewel. It is a digital twin of the physical object, which can transfer digitally all the features of the jewel itself, but also the production, care, and maintenance features and imitation. Then perhaps one of the most innovative and discussed also areas in this period about process dematerialization is the entry of artificial intelligence as co-creator of the product itself. We have Midjourney, we have DALL-E, we have now ChatGPT for text. We are now seeing the effective application of AI in the creative process. There is much discussion about the role of AI and the designer in comparison, but I wanted to focus on the collaborative aspects that the two terms can present. In this example, the AI was asked to make earrings similar to Mondrian paintings. As you can see, the relevance to the reference is really precise and perhaps is also quite literal. Or again, the use of generative adversarial networks offer formal inspiration that the designer can rework or use as a final object. In a process of co-creation, the designer's role, of course, is changing, but does not die. The machine becomes an intelligent tool for expanding the creative boundaries of the designer minds, who then has, of course, the role of applying his knowledge to create effectively the final object. Finally, services are dematerialized. As we have seen, of course, retail is the most influenced by digital experience. From try before you buy application, virtual try-on application that allow you to view the object from home, up to virtual exhibition, such as the one promoted by Sotheby's Auction House. So also a traditional auction house is applying these new innovative virtual technologies. Digital is able to immerse the customer in a new intangible context. For example, marketplaces that are digitally influenced, like jewels, a marketplace for digital jewels that sell digital jewels, or House of Web3, that is probably the first retail platform which is fractionally owned and operated by its own community. And it is precisely the concept of community that becomes essential when we enter virtual contexts such as Decentraland or Roblox. These are the, here we have the brands that moves to reach the young customer, all of it that is already present on those platforms, and start providing unique shopping experience, events, or as we saw last year, the Fashion Week. But the experience can also pass through platform or website that are becoming more and more interactive. I have included here 3 examples, the Gucci Garden, the Vogue Talent, and the Mondo Genius by Moncler website, because I think they are good examples in terms of interactive platform that shows how the static images is no longer enough to communicate with the viewer. So the degree of immersion, virtual or otherwise, that brands can achieve become now essential to improve the communication. Last, but of course not the least, gamification. Between in-game advertising or advert gaming, brands have been able to reinvent themselves and create games and collaboration to involve Gen Z, especially, in an increasingly gaming platform. Louis Vuitton, for example, celebrated the anniversary of the founder's birth through Louis the Game, where you can play as Viviane, that is the company's iconic symbol flower, that takes you to discover the brand heritage while you are collecting unique digital artifacts during your journey. The example I have brought you want to reflect on the very first word that characterized the name of my speech, Phygital. Luxury and its physical features will never fully compensate for the digital transformation, so will never die. I want to use the expression, the word of Tomás Maldonado, that is an Argentine artist, designer, and philosopher, that has always believed that the body and its physicality are essential for us. And it is in fact undeniable that in the experience of jewelry and luxury, the physical component will always remain present. But of course, it will be enhanced by the digital one that is pairing traditional values such as exclusivity, craftsmanship, or authenticity in an intangible context. A phygital experience like the one, for example, promoted by Tiffany at the Vision and Virtuosity exhibition in London, where the Tiffany diamonds were exhibited and only the participant in the exhibition could wear it digitally, of course, through augmented reality. So we have the exclusivity because it is only for the exhibition, but then we have the possibility to wear a diamond digitally that we can't really try in a physical realm. Or, for example, Gary James McQueen, who, in collaboration with Jewels, the marketplace that I was talking before, creates this digital crown for Queen Elizabeth Jubilee. That is a way to offer the public the opportunity to participate in an event, feeling part of the celebration. Now I think I have run out of time, and I would like you to leave you with this question. What's next? Because of course, if the pandemic has definitely opened the doors to digital, now it is time to formalize progress and set the processes, understanding how to use digital beyond trends, and but instead with a sort of view to sustainability and creative growth and of course innovation. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Beatrice. You stayed perfectly in time.